thank you very much for talking to the communications team of the West Africa Civil Society Institute. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, so thank you very much. My name is Dr. Albert Ahen, and I work as a research fellow at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And my research interest areas are in civil society sustainability and international development and rural livelihoods.
Thank you. I'm quite keen and interesting to know that your interest area in research is civil society sustainability, and you were at the core or at the heart of this groundbreaking research on civil society sustainability in Ghana. Can you tell us about the experience you had? How did it feel like going across the country to understand or explore how civil society organizations or stakeholders are combating, the threats to their extinction?
Okay, so thank you very much. I think we did this research about 5 years ago, myself and 2 other wonderful team members, and our strategy was to use 2 main approaches. The first one was an online survey, which was a bit impersonal. Then we did the personal or the interaction aspect of it. It was an interesting experience, so to speak, for me and for the participant, because I got very much interested in the ways that NGOs talk about what they were going through, the opportunities ahead, and then particularly also the challenges that they faced financially, operationally, and even the way the environment itself was changing at the time. And it was interesting in the sense that some of the issues we were hearing them for the very first time publicly, but these were issues that the NGOs had grappled with it for some time. But many of them spoke with some sense of optimism. They hoped that even though the situation was a bit dire, things would change.
Great. And carrying out this experience and this research and talking to these practitioners, what did you find, maybe at the personal level, as something very, very revealing, that really touched you, or that is something that stakeholders or civil society organizations themselves need to pay critical attention to?
Okay, we found a lot of things, and I think one thing that I got surprised with was we all knew funding was becoming a bit of a challenge, but we didn't really know that it was the scale or the intensity was that dire. I mean, and as I listened to many of the interviewees, I got realized that this was really, really a serious issue that we needed to tackle for civil society to really, really thrive on. So that was one finding I realized that it was really a serious issue. And I also realized that funding wasn't necessarily the major issue which was affecting sustainability. And even some had a funding, but operation was also a bit of difficult. High cost of offices, maintaining the infrastructure that they needed, issues about staff retention, issues about pay, and all that. These were very much issues that I also got quite was a finding that I realized was surprising, because I had not really imagined how this was really affecting the NGOs. I was even surprised that some NGOs were grappling with getting volunteers, because for CSOs we work and thrive on volunteerism, and volunteers come and they were expecting money and transport and things which many people were finding it difficult. So these were some of the surprising things that I found. But then as I had also said earlier, many of them were looking forward for new ways to kind of overcome some of these challenges.
It's quite interesting, the levels of or say the different types of sustainable or CSOs within the sustainability scale, and you came up with this concept of thrivers, sustainable. And how did you come about with this categorization of CSOs on the path or journey to sustainability?
Yeah, so in the course of the discussions, and after the various interviews, whilst we were doing the analysis, listening to some of the voices, we realized that not every NGO is facing the same issues, and that we could categorize some of the challenges to, as a way of bringing the nuanced nature of the discussions. And so one thing we realized was some organizations were just surviving. In a sense that even we can start with striving. People those that were at the bottom of the scale, they were really having it difficult to really exist as an organization and to implement their projects and achieve their mission. So we call those people the strivers. Then those that also they were not necessarily striving, but then they were just surviving because the issues around them, the challenges they face, the opportunities around them, it's like, okay, we can't quit, so let's just continue doing what we want in the face of all these challenges. And then we also realized that some people in the midst of this were actually doing well, and so we called those from survivors. The next category was thrivers, and they were thriving in the face of this issue. So we then use that as a framework to think about sustainability in a sense of people striving to achieve it and others just surviving, and those that can also thrive. And we felt that thinking around sustainability should be that nuance, and perhaps we should aim at moving from striving to surviving to thriving. And a sustainable one is one that shouldn't face problems in terms of its identity, in terms of its operation, and in terms of its funding. And so that is how we divide the scales to categorize some of these issues. Yeah.
Great. And now, this is a research piece, a wonderful publication, and sometimes there is that scared, perception of research products like what you have. How do you expect civil society organizations who are at the core of this research to leverage on the publication that came out of the work you did?
So this work was done to understand what NGOs were going through, and it's for NGOs. And so we expect that listening to these voices, over hundreds of them across almost all the regions in Ghana, there are commonalities that run through. And so we have made a lot of recommendations based on what most NGOs suggested, and also based on our own research and other analytical work that we have done. And we expect NGOs, especially in terms of funding, to be smart in terms of looking both internally and also externally. And particularly, they should try to diversify their very sources of funding. But as I said, funding is only one aspect of sustainability. Organizations should also particularly invest in their own capacity building issues for themselves, for their staff, and both for those that are at the forefront and those that are also at back front. That capacity building is really interesting. Capacity in terms of how to source for funds, how to raise for funds, in terms of devising the technical knowledge of doing CSO work. And we even also realized one area which NGOs should take seriously is issues about visibility. And we realized many NGOs were really doing very wonderful work, but they remain quite obscure. And some NGOs talked about the experience. It was the visibility of their work that actually even attracted some funding and things to them. So if NGOs can also invest into publicizing their work, these days it's quite easier using a number of online platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, to even it's 1 minute to showcase the kind of good things that they have been doing. I think it should go a long way to help them achieve their sustainability. So we expect the NGOs to use the recommendations that we have made in that report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahin, and I hope we'll be able to get you some other time to talk on other issues.
Great. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.